The biased press does not coordinate presidents of the United States. That's a reality check we're issuing in tonight's preamble. We all remember the presidency of Al Gore, don't we? Thankfully, it was short-lived. Back in 1999, NBC News was the first to proclaim Al Gore the winner of Florida, thus winning the election. CNN, CBS, and others quickly had egg on their face, or as Tom Brokaw described it, we have an omelet. But even after consensus was building that Bush had actually won, the guardians of the Democrat Party, the biased press, were very slow, very deliberate and careful. They wanted to make sure that Al Gore was given every opportunity to file legal challenges. Now, that took about 37 days to run its course. Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, had to remind the Democrats and the press to cool their enthusiasm for socialism to return to the White House.
But the other thing that I think is going on here, George, is that this is all premature. This is a premature conversation because we have not finished counting votes. There are states that have not been called. And back in 2000, Al Gore was given his day in court. We should give President Trump his day in court, let the process unfold. Because, George, we live in a republic.
Yeah, well, that would be fair. Let it unfold. But the biased press was undeterred. They hate President Trump and all of his supporters, and they want this president gone.
That is the president of the United States. That is the most powerful person in the world. And we see him like an obese turtle on his back, flailing in the hot sun, realizing his time is over.
An obese turtle, the party of love and civility, along with the majority of the press, showing their respect or lack thereof for a president they despise. Oh, CNN wasn't done.
He was brought up by a father who told him that you're either a fighter or you're a loser, and there's no one in between. And today he is a loser by definition.
Oh, I see. He's a loser. The press says so. And they've been saying that since he actually won in 2016. In the minds of anti-American leftists, the opinions of the biased press is really all that matters in our society. When CNN, CBS, ABC, and Fox started celebrating an alleged Biden win, their contributors were overcome with emotion.
Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happier to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason.
Wow. And the Oscar goes to the crying communist, Van Jones. He's naturally overwhelmed by the prospect that he and his merry band of Marxists may soon have the ability to tell you all what to do using the power of unrestrained government. What does it matter if he had to lie about everything he just said about President Trump? Thankfully, CNN, NBC, or Fox, they don't choose presidents of the United States. According to Amy Dacey, executive director of the Sine Institute of Policy and Politics at American University, quote, there's election day where those electors are elected. There's the date in December where the electors meet and then vote for president. And then there's the date in January where the Congress certifies that election, end quote. Now, there's a lot that can happen between now and then. The election year of 2000 proves as much. Until then, keep this in mind, friends. The Washington Examiner reports that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is putting together an enemies list. The headline reads, Keeping Tabs. AOC suggests supporters make list of social media posts from Trump sycophants to hold them complicit. Indeed, the socialist congresswoman, who many Democrats hold responsible for their losses in the U.S. House of Representatives, tweeted the following, quote, is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future? I foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, photos in the future, end quote. Well, don't count on it, sweetheart. There are 71 million Americans and counting who are not afraid to put America first. But since the so-called fair and balanced press has not condemned AOC for putting together her little enemies list, they shouldn't have a problem when we conservatives do the same. We can start with the pro-China Democrat Socialist Party. We can add the biased press, Twitter, Facebook, and Google. We can add Christopher Wray, James Comey, the communist John Brennan, and James Clapper. And don't forget the groups that spent the last 10 months spreading terror and violence in America's once great cities, the Democrats, BLM, and Antifa. Now, if Biden steals this election, he will find that his victory was a costly one. He will find over half the country is now energized and very eager to repay him and his political party for what they've put us through since 2016. And not even the propaganda from the compromised press will be able to save him from that reckoning.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.